You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth.
Well, hey everybody, welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. It's the Free for All Friday free for all. We've made it through yet another week, and I've got to tell you, it has been a hell of a week. As promised, 2022 has come through as just incredible, piling more and more shit on us. And to make things worse, I think I'm not feeling so hot. I think I'm coming down with the unicorn. I think the unicorn is getting me. Unicorn, bad. Back. Oh my God. I really do feel terrible. And a good friend of mine has given me the babysitting treatment and made me laugh with that one. Showed up with the unicorn and thought that would be hilarious. It has actually brought me up quite a few ticks. Thank you. Folks, yeah, that unicorn, it's really terrible. But I feel like I need some NyQuil, sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching. I'm not doing any of that stuff. Just feel like I need some rest. I think this is really, it's taken its toll on all of us. Psychologically, physically, it's just beating us down. And I really try and do my best to put positive things in my life. But I think we can still get worn down. Just and the weekend is here. I guess I won't be, doing too much crazy stuff. Try and take some time, personal time. I recommend we all do that this weekend. But hey, it is Free for All Friday. We're going to do your questions. We're going to do my monologue. We're going to do it all. We're going to mix it up, Jolene. This is something we've been doing lately, is mixing it all up. A little bit of me, a little bit of you guys will fill out the end of the week and start going. But I want to start off with this. Right off the bat, I've got a candidate that'll make you laugh your butts off. All right, this Friday, someone has really earned this, folks. None other than CNN's darling of a legal hoe, Michael Avenatti. I told you last week that he was being sued or being prosecuted for stealing somewhere in the neighborhood of $300,000 from, that's right, Stormy Daniels, porn star or former porn star. Her book proceedings, faces 22 years in jail. Folks, he is the horse's ass of the week, and he is indicative. He's indicative of the Democrats, their mindset. Remember, this guy actually thought he had a chance to run for president in 2020, not 2024, 2020, because he was attacking Trump back during Trump's early presidency. And this guy, Michael Avenatti, is now a two-time convicted felon, faces 22 years in jail. There's a lot of things that are indicative of SHTF. And out-of-control political attacks is just one indicator of it. Now, we have some law enforcement stupidity going on up in Ottawa. Now, you could make the argument, well, that's this guy's job. He needs to do it. A policeman's job is to uphold the law. Now, I would normally, under any other circumstance, agree. I should say not circumstance, but any other time in history. Any other time in history, in other words, pre-Cerveza bug, I would say the police's job is to uphold the law. Now, since we're in some kind of bizarro land and it's Free for All Friday, I'm going to say this. The Ottawa police chief, who is threatening to prosecute police officers and citizens who help the Freedom Convoy, the truckers convoy, the farmers convoy with food, water, or any other needs, he's threatening to prosecute them. I think he's got to arrest and cite them. The district attorney prosecutes. Folks, and also in Ottawa, files are now being kept for participants of this blockade, this protest. For what? Later arrest? Maybe Washington, D.C. style, where they just follow people home and arrest them and then hold them indefinitely on bogus, trumped-up charges. I'll tell you what, though, folks. When police weren't allowed to arrest BLM and Antifa, I thought, gee whiz, what's their excuse? What's their logic? What's their rationale? Well, the political leftists said, well, you know, they're just protesting, even though they were committing arson, assault, looting, all felonies. All felonies. I don't think parking your truck on the road is a felony. I'm pretty sure it's a moving or maybe an unmoving violation, illegal parking, but it's certainly not a felony. It's not murder or attempted murder. It's not assault or aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. It's not blowing people up. It's not burning them down. But in this case, I would say, well, you know, if the people were all for Antifa and BLM, as we're supposed to believe they are, shouldn't the police respect them? Oh, yeah. That's kind of what the left was telling us. It's mostly peaceful, so we have to allow it. Well, here we are up in Canada. These are peaceful protesters who are just basically blocking traffic for an entire city, the capital. Shouldn't that be allowed because it's a protest? You know, welcome to bizarro land, folks. It's a free-for-all. It is a free-for-all. Oh, I mean, if anyone can do whatever they want, hey. That's right. It's no longer the United States of America, no longer a constitutional republic. No longer does law and order prevail. It's the feelings we get. Feelings, nothing more than feelings. Don't quit my day job, huh? I tell you what, Hershey chocolate, probably, in all truth, my most favorite chocolate on the planet. I know there's other good chocolates out there. You know, there's great other chocolates out there. Probably some that are better, but I mean, just dollar for dollar, give me a frickin' Hershey bar. Well, not anymore. They are now off of my list. Pow! Hershey's is firing salaried employees who refuse to get the Jim Jones juice. Folks, this is not Arnold Schwarzenegger. This is not President Gigi Biden. This is not even Dr. Rooster Booster himself. No one, they can no longer mandate it. If the government has no right to mandate it and understand or know what's in your medical history, what right does a private business have to ask a person's medical history? Meaning whether or not they've had the Jim Jones juice. They don't have any right. But, you know, I guess extraordinary times call for extraordinary measures.
And not just to think about, well, my freedom is being kind of disturbed here. No, screw your freedom.
There comes a time when you do have to give up what you consider your individual right of making your own decision.
Oh yeah, there comes a time. Well, you know, either we have laws or we don't. Now, I know that, you know, if someone's peacefully protesting, then you have to allow them. If someone's flamingly protesting, I guess we have to allow them. So I guess no longer do any laws on the books matter. A private company can demand to know if you've gotten the Jim Jones juice, a medical procedure, part of your medical history. It's a violation of HIPAA laws. They have no right to even ask, folks, much less punish you for failing to do as they require. We have a right, folks, to work. We don't have a right to work wherever we want, but we have a right to work. Just like we have a right to rent a home or buy a piece of property. We have a right to go shopping for food, necessities. We have a right to conduct business. And oh yeah, and thank you, Johnny. Guess what? The people in Paris, well, they're exercising their right at Pfizer headquarters. They're continuing to protest and continuing to call them assassins. Good for the French. Folks, the protests in Canada, I hope you all saw the Rob Kirby interview with Duncan Kaiser. He was talking about all the protests up in Canada and how it's inspiring more trucker protests around the world, including here in the United States of America. And he named off all the countries. It's quite fascinating, folks. See, Rob Kirby is well, among other things, offering his political commentary. He's a financial and economic analyst, and he's a procurer of precious metals on large-scale orders. At least that's what he used to do. We've actually had Rob Kirby here on this show a ways back when I was back in California. Good guy, great thinker, got a lot between his ears, and he says, hey, look out. This idea of freedom is catching on. Oh, yeah, folks, it's a free-for-all. Free-for-all Friday. Now, I told you, I'm just not quite feeling great. I'm like, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm feeling like an 8.5, you know. I'm feeling almost like a normal human today. But I'll tell you, doesn't feel like cerveza bug. Don't have any of those symptoms. I wonder if I just have a cold. You know, those pesky unicorns are flying around, you know. Pesky unicorns, you got to watch them. But maybe I just have a cold. Are they even keeping statistics on colds? Well, folks, guess what? Other people have burnout as well. That's right. Who am I talking about? None other than one of my favorite groups out there that I've been, crapping on the last couple of years because they've turned into a bunch of narcissistic tarts. I'm talking about teachers. Not the good ones, the ones who run to the television and run to the camera and scream and yell about how they're so precious and they know best about everything, including what political persuasion your kids should belong to or what their sexual orientation or even gender identity should be. Now, more than half of teachers, folks, apparently more than half of the teachers out there, according to a poll, are looking to quit because of pandemic burnout. Pandemic burnout? Could it be that we all are suffering from pandemic burnout? Some more than others. I realize that I live in a very free area, but I am so involved in this, folks, talking to people all over this country and all over the planet, communicating on a daily basis, 7 days a week. I'm hearing about how fucked up things are, how jacked up things are, and it'll wear you out. Now, these teachers, could they be burned out from the constant politicization of their jobs? Instead of teaching, they're worried about the politics and the optics. Could they be burned out from demands by their union bosses to push their politics on everyone? Their gender identity, their preferential identity, their political identity, pushing Maoism and Marxism on these kids? Could they be physically exhausted from oxygen deprivation from those masks that they wear? I mean, you can't yell at kids to wear their masks unless the teacher wears theirs, right? Maybe that'll change. Maybe the teachers will say, look, we're so exhausted, we need more oxygen. We're going to take our masks off, which means kids need to wear 2 masks and maybe even duct tape those to their heads. Folks, maybe this could be something else. Maybe the Jim Jones juice is causing some mental health issues, and they're going to call it pandemic burnout. When will the madness end, folks? And when will critical thinking start up again? It is the Free for All Friday. Let's get to some of your questions. I know I said we're going to mix it up, and now we're going to do it. Whether you got a question, a statement, a comment, an idea, a thought, a topic, throw it at me. I got all kinds of stuff to talk out, but we all want to hear from each other now. We got Chester Wolf, and he comes in and he says, I am a UPS worker. We're having issues with workers being sick and we're incapacitated from Jim Jones juice. So workers are sick or were incapacitated from the Jim Jones juice. It's getting to a point now, working no longer be ignored by management. It's getting to a point now where it can no longer be ignored by management. I'm losing coworkers. It sounds like this sickness is coming from the Jim Jones juice. Is that the statement you're trying to make there, Chester Wolf? Because that's how I'm reading this. Workers are being sick and we're incapacitated, feeling under the weather, feeling like crap. And it's getting to a point where this problem at work can no longer be ignored by management. Wow, that is quite a statement. Thank you, Chester Wolf. Please keep us informed about what is going on. And then as someone who is unjuicinated, let us know how you feel. Does working around a bunch of them, does it affect you? Now, from time to time, I'm around juicinated people. I'm sure they're out there. I'm sure I don't even realize it. Maybe my horse needs some dewormer paste to get rid of my horse's worms. I don't know, but I think that it's probably a lot worse than people are letting on. I think that it's becoming a problem. Maybe they're now going to be satisfied. They're going to stop the rules and regulations, stop the mask and mandates, and just let the worm turn. Very fascinating. Thank you, Chester Wolf. Please take good care of yourself as well. Oh, yeah. Hold off on that one, please, Jolene, because I have something I want to bring to you from the Booster Rooster himself.
I also want to ask you about the president's mandate. There's so much opposition now.
I understand, and we all understand, how people do not like to be told what to do. They want to make their own choice.
They want to make their own choice. Well, the Booster Rooster himself has now come back on the media and said he's completely mystified that the rates of people, the demand for the booster, the Jim Jones boost, it's lagging. Could it be that someone is losing credibility on a massive scale? Could it be all the people that are interested in it are just basically done? Could it be all of the people having negative side effects from too much Jim Jones juice? You can only take so much arsenic in your Kool-Aid, folks, before you start keeling over. Yep. But yeah, he's folk. The little man is completely mystified that the rates of acceptance are going down. Isn't that just incredible? Way to go, pal. Way to overplay your hand. Don't worry though, folks. SHTF, even though it's been a huge part of it has been cerveza bug. Just this huge section, right? It's not the whole picture. It's not the whole problem. The finance system, banks, problem. Monetary system, treasury, problem. Economy, all of us workers, problem. Schools, problem. Laws, problem. Congress, problem. State, federal, local, problem. Border defense, international politics, problem. Don't worry, we could have the cerveza madness go away 100% and have no fear. We've got plenty of SHTF to go around. One of the things that is really getting to me are the reports I'm getting from people who work within the grocery industry, the food supply industry. Not a good scene. Okay, Jolene, who do we got next? We've got Latin America preparedness. He says, a 20-year-old Greek soccer player died from a cardiac arrest yesterday. Rut row spaghetti-o, not good. I actually have that article right here. Yes, he goes on, Latin American preparedness. An alarming number of young athletes get their heart problems, causing some deaths. What is the reason for covering up athletes' deaths? Yeah, I tell you what, one of the leaders within the World or European Soccer League has come out and asked that very question. Why is it? Who's keeping track of all the dying soccer players? Or in those countries, it's football, right? This 21-year-old Greek keels over, dies on the pitch, as they say over there. Interesting that soccer players, an alarming number of them, have died on the field. You know the reason, your question, what's the reason for covering up their deaths? Why isn't it bigger news? It should be the biggest news. These people have the best cardiovascular systems, folks. Right? We have our hockey, we have our baseball, football, basketball in America, right? We have our track, we have our sports. But over in Europe, soccer, football is like all of those combined, including riots in the frickin' stands and fights on the street and in pubs. The countries, all the nations are very aware of it. The people are very aware of it. And they can put 2 to 2 together the same way over here in America, we can almost put 1 and 1 together. They know what's going on. It's a little different culture, European culture. They have a little bit different laws than we do here in America, the way the court systems work, the way government assumes power over the people. And they've been trying for years to make America like Europe, where the government is sovereign and the people only have permission. That is to say, they don't have rights. They have privileges that the government can take away. What is the reason for covering up the death? It's because they have this narrative. I'm telling you, man, that's how much they want it. They have their narrative. And they're lying to the people. They withhold information. They lie about it. Let me give you a little taste of this, right? Arizona gubernatorial candidate Kari Lake was interviewed by a rookie reporter in an attempt to get her to say stupid things, Kari Lake. And essentially, Kari Lake just destroyed her. She brought her own equipment to film this, her own audio and video equipment to film the interview. And she turned everything around on the news reporter and then had to say this about the media. When you're lying to the people and you're the media, it's a bad business model. Essentially telling her nobody trusts the media anymore. Nobody believes the media anymore. Nobody looks to the media for facts. Europe, no different. Are they covering it up? They're doing their best to cover it up. They're doing their best to cover all of it up. But it does get out. These soccer players, their death, especially when they die, folks, on the soccer field during a game, and they're all having a heart attack or suffering from pericarditis, heart inflammation. It is very serious stuff. Very serious. Wow. Where do we go from here, folks? Where do we go from here? You know, this was a candidate for Horse's Ass of the Week, but he got beat by Michael Avenatti. Christopher Wray, head of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Put on your seatbelt. Click it good. Put on that seatbelt. This guy, Christopher Wray, has denied the FBI is taking January 6th protesters and what they did more seriously than BLM and Antifa riots in 2020. He denied that. Unbelievable, stunning that this guy can just open his mouth and that bilge just comes out. And we're supposed to believe it. And all the mainstream media, yep, that's what they're going to report. Oh, see, it came right from Christopher Wray. It must be the truth. How many, let me ask Christopher Wray this, how many Black Lives Matter protesters and how many Antifa members are in the DC prison for the crimes they committed in 2020 and 2021? Remember, they were rioting in Washington, D.C. They were peacefully protesting as they assaulted police officers. Let's see, what else did they do? I think they set fire to some buildings there in Washington, D.C. They, at the very least, vandalized and attempted to burn a church. How many of those guys did Christopher Wray and the FBI arrest and are holding? You see, it's kind of easy to look right through the hypocrisy and the lies. But sadly, as big of a horse's ass as Christopher Wray is, he just could not beat Michael Avenatti. But you could say that Christopher Wray and what he has done is also indicative of the bureaucracy and how unbelievable they are. Their credibility is shot. The Attorney General, Merrick Garland, his credibility is shot because he wants to say that parents are domestic terrorists. Yeah, I'm buying that because, that's what parents do. Oh boy. What is it you guys want to talk about next? Let's get into it. Pow, Jolene, thank you. She is on it. We got Z-Beat checking in and asks, why do you suppose some countries have reversed course on the Jim Jones juiceness and others have not? Perhaps they've met their quota. Ooh, that is quite interesting. Let's go with your idea first. Could countries have a quota on what percentage of their population they need to get the Jim Jones juice before they start backing off? That very well could be. Very well could be. I like that. Yeah, they've got a quota. Could it be that maybe in Greece, like where the soccer player got his bad juice, they want more Greeks or maybe more Spaniards or maybe more Italians to pass away? Could it be in England they want more? I mean, well, let's look at it this way. England has backed off. Ireland has backed off and said, yeah, no more, we're done. Could it be they've met their quota with all the threats of lockdown and passports and everything else? Could it be that the Italians are like, you know what? No way. That's as good an Italian impression as you're going to get out of me in this current mental state. Love the Italians. Love that Italian attitude. The paisanos, they're pretty cool. Anyways, Italy is still very much locked down. Could it be they don't have their quota filled? How about Austria? Could it be that Austria, same story, the people there in Austria are like, you know what, forget it. We're close enough to that whole Hitler Nazi thing that we didn't want any part of this either. Could it be that way for Germany? I mean, Denmark has now let up. It's incredible. I'm wondering how accurate that theory of yours is. Now, let's just go back. Why do I suppose countries have reversed course? I think they've gotten, the ones that are reversing have gotten the maximum amount. Whether or not they've reached a quota, they've got their maximum amount, and the people are starting to revolt in such a way they're becoming a danger. The politicians are appearing transparently fascist, transparently in the pockets of big pharmaceutical, transparently in the pockets of the booster rooster, right? They appear to be kissing the ass of their masters and forcing the people to do things they don't want. For example, Canada, right? The people of Canada have had enough of this crap. For Pete's sake, they're done. When truckers from all over the country drive to go gridlock the absolute loving pudding out of Ottawa, and they've got a GoFundMe account that has reached 10 million Canadian dollars. That's 10 million Canucks. We've got bucks, they've got Canucks. And that now, folks, oh yeah, by the way, GoFundMe has said, that's it, no more money for you guys because we want to make sure that you're going to spend this the right way. In other words, GoFundMe has got themselves between a rock and a hard place. They don't like this idea that, well, they could be breaking some rules here and we don't want to be a part of that. Oh no, like all the money you used and was raised for BLM, that was all for good purposes, for mostly burning, mostly looting, and mostly murdering. That money was fine. GoFundMe could raise all that money for them. But for a freedom movement, ooh, GoFundMe, yeah, looking bad there for you guys. Anyways, Canada, they've had it. Whether or not they've reached their quota, it looks like the Canadian government has gotten all the people they're going to get the Jim Jones juice, to get the Jim Jones boost. Get the juice, get the boost. People have said no more. We don't want it. Stop telling us to do it. Stop making us prove that we are. This is serious police state stuff. And I have a funny feeling the people have just been pushed too much. Now, where I'm at down here, right? The only thing I have to worry about is the occasional unicorn flying by and stinging me. That's about it, right? Freedom is very prevalent in the neighborhood in which I operate. And you'll find this in most rural areas of the country where people are like, you know what, I don't give a shit. I'm not going to do it, not going to wear a mask, not doing anything they say. They can kiss my ass. God bless those people. You know, freedom feels and looks really good. But my guess is they're going to push it, maybe up to a quota, but certainly they're going to push it to the very end until the people just won't have any more. And this effort in Canada is inspiring other countries to do the same. And I think it's going to have a pervasive effect. As stated earlier, Iowa is another state that just came on board and said, that's it. No more masks, mandates, rules, or regulations. No more social distancing, no more crap. We're going to treat it like the flu. Maybe Twitter needs to cancel her account or her Instagram account or her social media. Maybe the governor of Iowa needs her accounts shut down because her attitude is representative of dangerously misinforming people into thinking that it's not so bad. I can't wait till this is done, folks. As soon as this shit is done, we've got all this other SHTF and all this other SHTF and all this other SHTF raining down on us. But I am going to just, as soon as I'm allowed to it, I'm going to say all the nasty shit I've wanted to say about everything. As soon as they pull off their censorship pit bulls. All righty. This is incredible. Let me get it. Speaking of censorship and First Amendment stuff, right? The war on free speech rages on, right? Joe Rogan. I saw this article. It said, can Joe Rogan win the war for free speech? You know, Joe Rogan can't win the information First Amendment war, folks. But what he has done is popularized the argument. You see, everyone was being silenced and no one could talk about, and no one gave a shit about being silenced, right? I mean, I complain about it, you complain about it, but for the most part, it wasn't a national issue, this silencing of people because, you know, misinformation and, oh, everyone's going to die. Well, some big names have joined with Joe Rogan calling out that censorship is wrong. They're supporting Joe Rogan. Now, a lot have come out against him. A lot of music artists want to take their music off of Spotify. Now, here's the deal. Music on Spotify actually costs Spotify because they have to pay the artists their royalties. Joe Rogan makes money on Spotify because people pay to listen to him. Kind of like you guys pay to come to patreon.com to join us live. So there's a huge war. And Joe Rogan, God bless him, has been the front piece for making this a popular discussion and argument. And now today, Shaq, that's right, Shaquille O'Neal has made his opinions public by saying nobody should be mandated to put anything in their bodies. Clearly, he's moving along the same line as Joe Rogan, and his opinion would apply that, well, I mean, Joe said, no, I don't need it. I've got natural immunities. Right? That was his argument, but hey, shouldn't we be able to talk? So you can kind of see the 1-2 punch, putting two things together. That's what the mainstream media, that's what YouTube, that's what Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, that's what they don't want, right? It's harder for celebrities to oppose the regime agenda of these globalists, but many are. And Shaq undoubtedly has FU money, as well as others like Aaron Rodgers, now Troy Aikman, right? There's some other sports figures that are in this. Joe Rogan can't win this war for us, folks. We have to fight it, you and I, by supporting this channel on Patreon, $2 a month. Patreon. I saw someone write in the comments over on YouTube, I don't want to have to Patreon. You don't have to do anything. You can just sit on your ass and let the Nazis come and break down your door and haul your ass off if you like, or you can do something about it, right? As nations and states, folks, are dumping their mandates, their masks, their regulations, and the frauds, free speech will again flourish, right? But this diverse split between major groups is going to remain bitter. Remember, there's a whole lot more than just cerveza bug, even though it dominates so much of our conversations because of the corrosive and abusive aspects that have been employed by government around it. Isn't it amazing, though, speaking of Joe Rogan, speaking of what you and I talk about, isn't it amazing that freedom could be so dangerous and that centralized control could be so desirable by half the population? Well, centralized control isn't, never has been, nor ever will be wanted by the people. Control can only be maintained with the exercise of extreme power. And that is the fight we are in for, fight of our lives right now, folks. A huge fight over power, the ability to mandate things for us. What is it you want to talk about next? Let's get into it. Whew. We got the slim one checking in as, what do you think the odds are of some of these idiots that are in power were actually kids on Epstein's islands? Oh my gosh. What are the odds are that some of these idiots that are in power were actually kids on Epstein's island? This topic that you just kind of brushed up against, casual as it were, has been the subject of much conspiracy ink being spilled over the decades. The idea that those in power, as loose in the screws through their head as possible, right? That they belong to a system, a systematized program of abuse of their own children. And then when their children grow up, they move into positions of power. And they also are corruptible. They have control files on them. Right? And then they in turn abuse others. And then they are used by these, shall we say, upper level elites, the Illuminati globalist types. I'm going to give you a prime example. Prime example. This little guy right here. Justin Trudeau, that's right, the guy who's been missing. He's afraid of people honking their horns. Justin Trudeau, it's a lot of people say he looks an awful lot like Fidel Castro. Well, you know, Trudeau's mommy was a big helper to Castro. Did you know that? It makes you wonder, right? Why was this guy, Justin Trudeau, when he was sworn in as Prime Minister of Canada, that his oaths that he took more aptly belonged or showed his fidelity to the Queen of England rather than to the Constitution and people of Canada? Owned, controlled? I don't know. MK Ultra, anyone? You've got Daddy Bush. Oh, by the way, Trudeau's father, I guess, was a big political guy, had something to do with bringing Canada's Constitution back to Canada. We've got some weird stuff going on. It's going to continue. It is pervasive as it is perverted, it would seem. The nepotism in government is astounding. Let us go a little deeper, shall we? Merrick Garland, his daughter and son-in-law, own the company that provides education materials to schools regarding critical race theory. That's rather odd, don't you think? It's rather odd, yeah. Isn't Dr. Fauci's wife involved in the medical government industry in America? Nepotism, anyone? A little bit of bureaucratic inbreeding, perhaps? George H.W. Bush, president, has sons that become governors, and then, yeah, W. Bush became president. 1,000 points of light, skull and bones, I don't know. But definitely, folks, if you don't want to go down the super duper rabbit hole of conspiracy theory, let's just settle on the fact that these people love to work together to push for their agenda. To push for their agenda, yeah. And where does brainwashing occur? You know, I listened to an interview yesterday of Trudeau's brother. He was doing a podcast with some others, Trudeau's brother, talking about some of the problems this guy has. Very interesting, folks. Half-baked? I don't know. I don't think these are half-baked ideas. But we do have a baked potato, Brian Seltzer. CNN insiders are now calling for Brian to be shit-canned following Jeff Zucker's ousting. They've got a lot of little sexy problems going on there, a lot of abuse going on. And it could be, I mean, are these people sick in the head? Why is it that they are so apt and prone to abuse others? It could be that they were abused and they don't really see the difference between abusing others and, you know, the fact that it's wrong. Like these people out here, folks, have some serious issues to deal with. CNN seems to be jam-packed full of this stuff. So yeah, now they're calling for potato head Brian Stelter to be shit-canned. CNN. Now, remember, was it just the other day that I said, look, the media has failed. They have failed to convince. They've tried going from news to hard opinion, editorial news, to the argumentative panels where you have a host and then someone on the right and someone on the left. And now it's just all leftist, and they're still failing. In fact, not only is their message not believable and not getting out there, but people are tuning out. Yeah, there's people calling for Don Lemon gone, Stelter gone, right? We got the whole lot of them are failing. Are they going to replace these people? It's going to be interesting. Going to be interesting, folks. What do you want to talk about next? Thank you, Slim One. Great topic. These idiots in power, I think, were abused. We got Charlene T checking in. Says, this morning watched the Fox News with my mother-in-law, and she was trying to figure out how they can report that 479,000 jobs added and the unemployment rate went up. Oh. Yeah, I mean, you could tune in to Bloomberg. You could tune in to MSNBC, Fox Business News. You could pick up a Wall Street Journal. You could read the online news articles trying to explain how this is possible. The mental gymnastics of how unemployment went up, but a bunch of jobs were added. You know, they'll say, well, you know, people came in off the sidelines. You see, they run a series of numbers. Now, just the other day, I was discussing with you guys how they had a 500,000 person swing in the jobs news. And now today it's gone up. You know, the market initially reacted positively, then the Dow went down on it. Anything you hear, now you watched Fox News, anything you hear on mainstream media is going to be propaganda. There's going to be some truth in there, some facts from time to time, but for the most part, they want to convince people that Joe Biden's doing a great job. So somehow they'll be able to say, yeah, they added 479,000 jobs. Well, that came from one report, probably from one agency. And then the unemployment agency said, oh, yeah, well, unemployment went up. Once again, this can be possible, I guess, if you live in bizarro land. I'm glad that was brought up, this topic, because, yeah, expect more of this. They've been distracting us, folks. People don't want to go to work, and they don't. People are getting all this money for doing nothing, and they are. Sure wish I got some of that, right? I'm going to pay for it one way or the other, and it would have been nice to have gotten some of that free money they're just throwing around out there. Economic damage, because the cerveza bug is off the hook. It is going to overshadow all of the damage that was done that caused the 2019 crash of the financial system. We're all screwed, the entire planet, economically, monetarily, financially. They're doing all they can in countries, folks, to hide their currency issues. Even Joe Biden, Gigi Biden was out today and basically sounded like he was, in a way, sympathizing with the American people because things were so bad and inflation so bad. That's just what I got out of reading that. It's incredible, folks. It's absolutely incredible what's going on. This is Free for All Friday. What I need to do, and I think we all need to do, is just kind of clear our minds for a couple hours this weekend, because Sunday Night Live, I will be back in front of the ever glamorous silver microphone of joy here at the Prepared Mind Studios. Wow. What do you want to talk about next? Where are we going with this? I've got some more topics. You have topics. We all have topics. And as stated, this is way beyond cerveza bug at this point. We got Eli in the Wolverine State. He says, here's a question. Is it the supply chain making a food shortage, or is the food shortage being covered up by the supply chain? Once again, you guys are ahead of the curve. That's why I love you so much. It is both, in my opinion. It is both. There is a problem with the food supply chain, and there is a problem with the trucking or the transportation supply chain. So you say making food or transporting food or storing food. It's all of the above. The report I got last night, and thank you, Paul, very much, was that they aren't filling the food warehouses with finished or processed foods faster than the food is going out. Now, this is just one warehouse that I'm hearing of, folks. It's not, it's anecdotal. Do with the information what you will. That the food warehouse is down to about 30%, 1/3 of its capacity. It's down to 1/3 of its capacity. Is it being filled up faster than food's going out? I was told it is not. This is just one warehouse, folks. We have grocers out there. We have people in the transportation business. We have truckers here. We have people that are farmers here. We have everything here. It is just, we're still just a little itty bitty network. There's just 81,000 of us out here in the Prepared Mind Network. And thank God you're here. Thank God you're willing to share the information you have. We have a supply chain making the food. We've heard about workers in meat plants not wanting to show up. Workers in meat plants sick. Meat plants shutting down. Meat plants owned by China. Right? We heard that the government was paying meat producers to destroy their livestock. We heard about the government paying farmers money to not grow their food. I wish they'd pay me money not to grow food. Right? That sounds like a special deal. Really, folks, I don't want to be paid money to not do something. We need food. We're going to need food. Now, again, there's everything. There's a supply chain and there's a delay, right? It's kind of like if you're pumping water through a garden hose and every now and then it'll spit, right? That's air that's moved along inside the hose. Right? And it spits out the air. There's a vacuum or an absence of material. We had times when the government said, don't plant. And so you've got this air bubble, right, going through the supply chain system where the factory's like, well, we don't have enough food to do anything. Well, you have to wait till next year to start putting next year's crops in the thing. Whoops. All those animals, all those people not working, has created big giant air bubbles in the supply system. Is it going to be enough to cause there to be a food shortage? I seriously hope not. I'm not going to say I doubt it. It is possible. Now, let me ask the question a little differently. And this is why I think you guys like listening to this, because then you can share this information. If there isn't going to be a supply issue, could there be enough of a disruption to cause panic? Remember when cerveza bug came out and everyone was like, panic, let's get some water, some toilet paper, and then we're good, right? People panicked and they cleaned the shelves off. They did it with food also, but it wasn't as pervasive a problem as everyone who bought toilet paper. And I know you ladies out there love your toilet paper. If it gets bad enough to where there's public awareness of a shortage, there could be followed very shortly by a panic, which not only takes half empty shelves, which is the problem, but people panic and buy everything they can get their hands on, and the shelves are 100% bare, then we'll end up going into a rationing situation in the hopes that the warehouse and supply chain system can adequately resupply over the following days. Now, I've had U-Man is out there checking different stores. I check different stores. Lots of people are checking stores and reporting back. I get pictures, folks, from warehouse chains, from mom and pop stores, from major food markets, and I'll get pictures of empty shelves here and empty meat cases there. It's just not looking great. It's just not looking great. So get prepared now. I ordered some long-term food storage, a couple products randomly off the internet to see what the supply chain reaction would be. And one of the cans, I was told, you ain't going to get. I was like, well, then why were you selling it? Another can was, well, you're not going to get it when we said you're going to get it. You're going to get it in like 10 weeks. Don't panic, folks. My recommendation is go to thepreparedmind.club, CLUB. Right? We have Patriot Supply. We have Thrive Food there. Very good sources. And I think Thrive tastes the absolute best. Tastes like real food. But my recommendation is make sure you have at least a couple of months of freeze-dried long-term food. It's only going to go up in value, folks, as the dollar loses value. And if there is a problem, guess what? You've got it covered. And if there's not a problem, if everything's fine, we make it through all of 2022 with no serious food shortages, despite all the experts saying that it's coming, you can always eat that stuff anyways. Hey, you whip out a can of freeze-dried macaroni and cheese stuff, feed the kids, they love that stuff. All right, I want to get to this topic before we run out of time here on this Free-for-All Friday. MSNBC, stalwart, just amazing mainstream media source. Of course, I'm facetious. This whole show is nothing but satire. MSNBC had a guest on who claimed that Make America Great Again, MAGA, MAGA, Make America Great Again, is code for wanting to lynch or murder black folks. Did you know that? I had no idea. President Trump likes to express himself with his hands a lot, and he was famous for doing his OK symbol. And of course, many people now believe that the OK symbol is some sort of white power, evil thing, or KKK, or whatever, right? And Trump was Make America Great Again. That was his political slogan. It's unbelievable how these people think, folks. And that MSNBC can have a guest on making this ridiculous claim. Don't you think that that might be considered misinformation? Don't you think that that could be dangerous because it's divisive and it promotes an idea that there's racism out there to the extent that white people want to kill black people? Lynch, to use that word. I don't need to break out the statistics on murders and assaults and race. It's not important to me. What is important is the attitude at which we approach other people. Do we approach people with an open mind, or do we prejudge them? And it's just incredible to me. I can't believe that this fucking lady says this. She's allowed to say it on this. And they're saying that Joe Rogan, right, shouldn't have access to Spotify because it's just too big of a crowd. Well, those people on Spotify are paying for it. And I'm not paying MSNBC, nor will I watch that show so that their sponsors feel justified in spending money there. Wow, I just couldn't believe it when I heard that. Jolene, have we got anything else from the gang, or do I get to wrap it up? I mean, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I've got at least another dozen stories here. But it is Friday, folks, and it's been one hell of a week. Like I said, I think the unicorn bit me or poked me or something. Boy, I just need a good rest. Maybe a stiff drink. That would be good. We got Tom R. with a question. He says, if truckers don't get what they want, will Trudeau use the military against them? That's a great question. It's my belief that Trudeau will not use the military. It is, however, being flown, a trial balloon. They're trying to get people. They're trying to get people to believe that it's possible. They're threatening, in other words, the use of the military. Will the military come down with cerveza bug the same way the tow truck operators did? Will the military obey government in this case? And will the military come in with what? What would they come in with? Tanks? Military 6-bys and come in and start pulling trucks out of the way with chains and ropes? Or will those chains and ropes be just a little too racist? No, that's right. It's Canada, folks. You asked, will Trudeau use the military? I know they're going to threaten it. People still don't know where Trudeau is. He's hiding. He's missing. Where is that guy? Right? Justin Waldo. Where's Waldo is right. That's fun. I love the memes. Had fun with them this week. It's good to see that Canada is leading the charge, turning the page for freedom. Actually, England led the way to, ahead of the Canadians when Boris Johnson, dropped everything. But I have a funny feeling, folks, that he's not going to be prime minister in England much longer. A lot of his cabinet and closest allies are dropping out. They're quitting over, of all things, Partygate is what the name of it was, because BJ, good old Boris Johnson, was having maskless gatherings, parties, while everyone else was told that they couldn't have parties, couldn't have gatherings, even family. And if I remember correctly, the police were being called on people who had, too much activity at their home, too many guests walking in the door. It's good to see that hypocrisy is being outed and punished in England. It's good to see that politicians who participate in the fine art of hypocrisy are being punished. And Trudeau really is one of those who should be as well. All of these little frat boy turds, they've really just pissed off the planet. Macron, Trudeau. Wow. I got to tell you, folks, it has been a hell of a week. I hope you are prepared. I really do. Got a couple of things I want to touch on real fast to wrap everything up. The Premier of Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan is a state. It's one of the provinces up there in Alaska. He pledged to end all COVID restrictions in an effort to try and get people to not support the protest, to go to the protest. It's not just a provincial issue up there, Mr. Premier. It is the entire country. And it's more than Canada. I think Canada is representative of the world's thoughts and feelings on this matter. As stated, it's more than just cerveza bug, folks. Oh, this is great. The teammates of Leah Thomas, who is the male that has decided he is a female and has now become the world's greatest female swimmer, right? Right. She as a male was ranked like 450th in the world as a swimmer and is now number 1 in women's swimming. 16 of her teammates have written a letter to the University of Pennsylvania and said, right, not fair, shouldn't be allowed. Yeah, claim to be a woman all you want in your personal life, but to compete in sports, not so much. Anyways, more news has come out about this person. Teammates of the Leah Thomas say that she doesn't cover up her penis while in the locker room with girls. Just to illustrate the stupid, folks, just to illustrate the stupid. I mean, if he thinks she is a she and identifies as a she, then her penis identifies as a vagina, does it not? I mean, aren't we supposed to believe this? We're supposed to believe this. You can identify any way you want, right? The land of make-believe. Mr. Rogers, right? Get on the little trolley and go to the land of make-believe. I don't think so. And Lieutenant Colonel Vindeman, he wrapped up this week and is suing Donald Trump Jr. and Giuliani. Recall who this guy was. He's the guy who told the congressman, I'm a lieutenant colonel, as if he needed to be addressed that way. Right? Well, congressmen are more important than lieutenant colonels. But this little guy, he wants another 5 minutes of fame. And he's going to get it. These people are shit stains, folks. They are absolute shit stains. Breathe in, breathe out. Are you prepared? Are you prepared? Chance favors the prepared mind, folks. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. Have a plan. Share this video. Get the address up there. Share it with others. It is critical at this point. Support the truckers. Support the farmers. We ourselves need to be in the information dissemination movement. We are the network. Because we can't count on mainstream media. We can't count on politicians to tell the truth, to give us the facts. We need to communicate internationally, folks. We need to communicate with our brothers and sisters in Europe, in Australia, in Asia, all over the planet, and let them know what you think. A lot of people don't know what to think. They're afraid to say anything because they've been told you'll lose your job, right? You'll be socially castigated. It's time to stop being afraid. It's time to stand up for ourselves, right? That's what they want. They want us afraid. They want censorship to work. Take that power away from the mainstream media. Do more than just turn them off, right? Share information that you believe in, that you've accepted as factual. And coming to the Prepared Mind on Patreon really helps you get a lot more information. I want to thank all the providers this week who have given me what feels like thousands and thousands and thousands of emails of information and trying to keep up with it. Perhaps that's why I'm a little bit beat down, right? So nobody ever said war of this nature. This fight would be easy. It's not easy, folks. Be strong. Be proud of who you are and demand nothing but what is rightfully yours, and that is your rights, all of them. Chance favors the prepared mind, is yours. Semper Fi, Godspeed.